Aw, shit. Here we go again.
Every trend, every deal gone wrong. We find the chaos, make it loud and turn it to a song. From the boardroom to the feed, nothing escapes the light. The Bozo report is here, and we're going all night. The Bozo report. We live on the floor, hear us roar. The Bozo report. Let's go. Business buzz and so much more. Bozo's in the headlines every day. We break it down, we make you say. The Bozo report is on the way. The Bozo report. The Bozo report. Let's go.
You know what time it is? Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the Bozo Report, bringing you all the bozos and all the world coverage you could ever want or need. I am your host, the guy with no name, and my co-host without no name is not here today. So I'm going solo dolo, Mr. Solo Dolo attack. Run and tell that. All right, so we have so many things to cover. This was such a crazy week for news. Honestly, it just was a complete clusterfuck of news. Just keep it 1,000. Trump and the whole crew made their way to China. And by the whole crew, I mean Elon Musk, Jensen, who was like a last minute addition, which I thought was very interesting. Tim Apple, the iPhone man, Tim Apple. He didn't really make the iPhone that much better, but nonetheless, Tim Apple, come on down. We're going to China. I think Stephen Miller went there too. Stephen Miller has been routinely critical of China throughout his entire political career. And Xi Jinping's just going down the line, shaking hands, hey, blah, blah, blah. And he's shaking hands with every single person. He's like, starts all the way on the right. He's making his way left. He gets to Stephen Miller. He shakes his hand and he's just like fucking staring into his soul, which I thought was kind of funny because Stephen Miller has been pretty outspoken about how much he hates China and how much he hates the CCP. But the real reason I'm getting into China right now is there was a story about the mayor of Arcadia, California. She goes by the name of Eileen Wang, Asian woman, little older. She fucking publicly admitted that she was a CCP spy right before Trump and his whole team went over to China. How crazy is that? A mayor. This is not like someone working for someone else, right? This isn't an intern for the DA. This isn't an intern for someone running for office. This isn't an intern for a senator. This isn't an intern for a congressman or a congresswoman. This is a fucking mayor. This is a shot caller. This is someone that oversees budgets. This is someone that has political influence and some sway. I actually have something that you guys are going to want to hear. This is the world premiere new dance hit called Arcadia Shuffle. Here we go. Let's jump in.
She smiled for the cameras, waved at the crowd. Mayor by day, but she's playing it loud. We chat on the phone, directives from Beijing. Running City Hall while she's working for the king. Fake news on the website, propaganda on display. J came knocking, couldn't run away. To the Arcadia Shuffle, double agent on the floor. To the Arcadia Shuffle, you can't be mayor anymore. interest of the Chinese government. Plot twist of the year, baby. Plot twist of the year. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Arcadia. Double agent, who's next? Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. FBI. Can't hide in City or
How's that for a banger? What do you guys think of that? There were some other stories that were in the mix about China. The Bucks owner was blackmailed by a Chinese woman that he got with, and originally she added him on LinkedIn after she found out he was divorced and then tried to extort money from him. Oh, and this is all alleged, of course. Who knows if this is true or not? Allegedly, she claimed that she allegedly contracted an STD from him, and then she went to him and said, "Unless you give me, whatever, $10 million, I'm going to go public with this information." No one's really talking about that either. China and Russia, they have these, at least for Russia, they have this Red Sparrow program. There's even a movie called The Red Sparrow. I think Jennifer Lawrence is in it. And basically, Russia sends women to sleep their way into political circles. They get into the country posing as like students or posing as something they're not. And really, they're working with Russian intelligence. And they go to DC, they go to New York, they go to LA, and go to Miami, and they try to sleep their way into political circles to be able to gather intel on people. I think the guy that was in California, Swalwell, whatever the fuck his name is, Eric Swalwell, didn't he get accused of sleeping with like a CCP agent and relaying information to her? I mean, China's so sneaky. But anyway, no, these Russian and Chinese women, they're the two biggest offenders, right? Like I'm sure other countries do it, but they're like the two most prevalent that everyone seems to know about. You just send in some attractive, young Asian woman, send her to DC, have her pose as a college student, and then just send her to the bars where all these fucking people hang out at, right? Or send her to these fucking social clubs and shit like that. And then people will be like, "Oh, why are you here?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm here for college, blah, blah, blah." And then, no one really thinks anything of it. But meanwhile, the whole time, she's just gathering dirt on people and just gathering intelligence. So there's definitely a lot of that goes on down there for sure. It looks like the US and Iran are not going to make a deal. And Trump seems to think that Iran really isn't looking to make a deal. And they just keep looking to ask for more in this negotiation. So the peace talks right now, they have the ceasefire still in place, but they're really not making any traction with getting an Iran deal done where Iran has no nukes, they turn over ballistic weapons. We covered this last week. I think personally, maybe the US is looking to negotiate in bad faith. Putin came out, declared the Ukraine war over. So what's the deal there? Is he doing this because Russia has advanced and pretty much they've taken the Donbass region, they've seized control of the natural gas and oil facilities in Ukraine. They haven't seized the whole country, but they've effectively shored up the whole western border and connected this land bridge that feeds into Crimea. So now they have a warm water port over there as well. Did Putin declare the Ukraine war over after 5 years because they reached all their military objectives, or is it that now he can focus his attention to Iran? Putin and Russia was relaying targeting information to the Iranians so they can strike American ships and aircrafts that were attacking Iran. It just seems like Putin's a very calculating guy. I think he's actually a judo black belt as well. Because of his KGB background, I'm more inclined to believe that he likes to think a few steps ahead. So maybe in his mind, the sequencing is, okay, let's get Ukraine taken care of because now we have the natural gas, now we have the oil, right? Now we have a nice warm water port. They need another warm water port. They need to be able to sell goods to Europe, even though, they got sanctioned. But the sanctions were actually lifted, which is crazy. The EU is in such an energy crunch right now that they raised sanctions that were imposed on Russia for natural gas and oil. So I don't know. I think Russia is pretty smart. I think they're very calculated. They're very clearly, gearing up for something else, right? So that's very interesting to me. Delcy Rodriguez, current head of Venezuela, is talking to the Trump administration and they're trying to work out a deal or some kind of arrangement. And even people openly in the Trump administration have been talking about Venezuela potentially becoming the 51st state. Venezuela has $150 billion in debt that is due. They owe so much money and they cannot afford to pay it right now that they might be forced to cut a deal with the US. I think at bare minimum, Venezuela, if they don't become an official state, they'll become a territory of the US. We'll get access to the oil, we'll build out the infrastructure. I spoke about this last week with Chevron already having a presence in Venezuela. And then that CEO of Chevron comes out and he's like, hey, it's going to take 5 to 10 years to get this oil infrastructure online. Venezuela has the world's largest untapped oil reserves. So Venezuela is key. Venezuela is so important geopolitically. Whether you like imperialism, whether you believe in American exceptionalism, whether you believe in the Monroe Doctrine or not, it is so important to have someone that is on the same page as the US and Venezuela because the previous leader was in line with Russia and China, and Venezuela was supplying a shit load of oil to China for cheap. So Venezuela was the first domino to go. And then it's like once Venezuela is at least maybe not fully under US control, but let's say US adjacent in control, now Cuba's the second domino because now Cuba is not getting their oil imports from Venezuela. So they've just had constant rolling blackouts for the last 4 or 5 months. There was a Russian tanker that had to come in and provide them with emergency oil. John Ratcliffe is negotiating a deal with Cuba. And it seems like, at least from what I'm hearing, the US is actually going to look to charge Raul Castro, who is Fidel Castro's brother. And I know you're probably thinking, like, Fidel Castro, this guy was running Cuba when fucking JFK was president. This guy was running Cuba like 70 years ago. What's the fucking importance of that? Well, guess what? Raul Castro is 94 years old, and this guy's about to get charged by the US government. And they're going to fucking drag his ass in, and they're going to get rid of the communist regime, and someone is going to be put in place that, again, it's like the same playbook. The hardliner is going to be removed, and then someone who's a notch or two below that will take over, someone who's more willing to play ball with the US. This is the exact playbook the US loves to run, and I totally get it because it fucking works. So it seems like Cuba is going to be the second domino to fall. And this brings me to a greater point that I wanted to make. And that is this project that's been floated. I don't even know why they said this shit publicly. They never should have said it publicly because people like me know about it, but the average person, the normies, don't really know about it. It's called the Greater North America Project. And the idea is that you basically reshore all these military bases, you leave NATO, so you're able to cut some military spending, and you basically adopt this total isolationist policy where North America, consisting of Canada, US, and Mexico, and then parts of South and Central America, I mean, basically under like US puppet control, all the way down to like Brazil. We're almost already there. So this is a wild story. This is something that's been going on. You see a lot of these live streamers, and we saw people like Ice Poseidon back in the day and how chaotic that was. I think when he was streaming on Twitch, the main reason that he got that ultimate ban was that someone called in a bomb threat when he was getting ready to fly on a plane. And he was so retarded about it. He like showed his boarding pass and showed his information. He's like, oh, well, what are you guys going to do? And then someone called the airport and called in a fucking bomb threat and said it was him when it obviously wasn't. Then we had Johnny Somali, who was in South Korea causing problems, and he got sentenced to 6 months in like fucking hard labor. Bro, they literally were like, we're done with this dude. This dude's such a fucking asshole. We're gonna give him 6 months in a labor camp. So he's just Johnny Somali. That's a case worth looking up, people, if you don't know much about it. Basically, he was this American guy that went to South Korea, and he just was a provocateur, and he would try to fuck with people. And I think there was a statue that was erected in South Korea for like SA victims, and then he was like touching it and feeling on it and whatever. I'll let you connect the dots on that one and see what I'm really saying. I'll let you read between the lines. But there's this latest case that came out, and this is something that I had a feeling would come at some point just because of these nuisance streamers. So Chud the Builder, if you don't know who this guy is, basically he was a streamer that was on Kick. He streamed on there earlier this year. He just rage baits people. So Chud the Builder is a rage baiter. He pretty much just runs around, says things to piss people off, films it, live streams it, just tries to get people to explode on camera, and then when they do inevitably explode, then he gets, tons of views, and his clips go viral, and he obviously, the more attention you can command, the more money you can make. So this guy is financially incentivized to just run around with like a selfie stick and a camera, an iPhone or whatever, and just rage bait people into engaging, because then clips go viral and then he makes money and whatever. He was using slurs at people and shit. Like, he really was going for it and just trying to get a rise out of people in any way he could. Fast forward to the 13th. So on the 13th, he has a court appearance. He goes to a courthouse, right, in Montgomery County, Tennessee. He leaves the courthouse. He sees someone there with his friends, and he's live streaming the whole thing, and these guys are like, "Oh, look, look, there's Chud the Builder," and they're like fucking with him. So he's filming and live streaming this whole thing, and allegedly, because this is still ongoing, allegedly, he walked up to them and was egging them on and provoking them, and then things got bad, and one guy went to attack him, whose last name is Fox. Fox went to attack him, and he pulled his fucking gun out, and he shot the guy, right? And he didn't kill him, but the guy was, like, severely wounded. He got shot in the stomach, and Chud himself on the live stream said he shot himself in the process because he pulled his gun out, shot this dude in the stomach, and then ended up, I guess, like, in a scuffle, shot himself. So he's been sitting in jail. He's currently being held at the Montgomery County Jail on $1.25 million bond. So people were like, oh, $125,000. He could easily put that up because someone made a Give Send Go campaign for him where they raised over 100,000, and I believe now the amount it's up to 200,000. So they're like, "Oh, he has plenty of money." Well, I saw something that the judge said he can't use any money from the Give Send Go campaign to put up for his bail. And then the other thing is he has to put up something as collateral to get to half the amount. The guy Carmelo Anthony, who fatally, murdered someone, he fatally stabbed Austin Metcalf, his bail, or his bond rather, was $250,000, which is crazy, right? If Chud the Builder left the courthouse and we get CCTV footage that shows him leaving the courthouse, and these guys with Fox come over, or Fox specifically comes over to him and starts provoking him and attacks him, then it could be self-defense. In the live stream footage, Chud says that he walked over to these guys, allegedly. So if that's the case, if he walked over to these people, he's in a world of shit. You can't be the provoker and then say, "Oh, self-defense, self-defense." You have one guy who's a provocateur, and he's just running around saying things to people to get under their skin and just going out of his way to just cause grief, right? And then on the other hand, you have a guy that got shot who isn't exactly a model citizen. And when confronted with a fight with his wife, he allegedly said he's going to burn the house down. I mean, both these guys are idiots, just to call it what it is, right? I'm hoping that we can move past all this shit, And I know that might be naive, and people are gonna be like, well, you're such a fucking pussy. I really do. I hope we can move past all this, and let's just get back to people making content and not being nuisances. Like, if there's a guy online or a gal and they're a streamer and they're just like a nuisance streamer, don't pay attention to their shit. Don't share it. Don't like it. Don't even engage with it, because the algorithms are designed in a way that the more you watch something or the longer you watch something, if you leave a comment, good or bad, if you, like or dislike or send to other people, it's just going to share it more. So if we want to move away from that, the best thing to do is to not pay these people any mind. That's the best way to get rid of this problem. But there was something cool that happened. So right now it's Saturday. I'm recording Saturday the 16th, so this will be up tomorrow on the 17th. There was something cool that did happen. That was some good news that I feel like I should share and maybe get into the business side of things. Drake, the Drake. Oh, the Drake. Everyone loves the Drake. Drake came out with fucking Iceman finally. That dropped on the 15th. That dropped yesterday. But it was really like Thursday night. I guess whatever. Thursday at 12 a.m. is technically Friday, whatever. So the album came out, Iceman, finally, long anticipated. People have been waiting. People have been like, just, I mean, it was an awesome album rollout, but people have just been waiting and dying for this album. But Drake hit us with the fucking whammy, son. So the dude dropped like over 40 songs, And people that are casuals don't really know this, but Drake comes out, promotes Iceman. Everyone thinks they're getting one album. Instead, we get three. We get Iceman, Habibi T, and Maid of Honor. And if you don't know, Drake had a $250 million deal with UMG, Universal Music Group. And by dropping all three of these albums on one day, he's out of his contract. So now he's completely independent. He doesn't have to deal with UMG. He feels they shorted him on the last deal because they only gave him 250 and then someone got in his ear and was like, "Hey, you're worth more than that." And thank God someone got in his ear because he's worth a lot more than 250. I mean, he was making a shitload of money just from doing the sponsored stake streams with Aiden Ross. So, someone I think maybe he realized like, well, this gambling company's paying me this much based on, the following I have and the attention I can get, like, I should be able to get more from people within the music industry, right? So now we're in a world where Drake basically pulled a Frank Ocean. He cleared his album obligations for his contract. So now he's a free agent. And I think he's going to stay independent. But the rumor I'm hearing, and this is a rumor, so rumor alert, I'm hearing that Drake got a $2 billion offer from a private equity company to sign to them. And if that's true, Drake is set to fucking print money. He's going to be richer than Pete Kanye with Adidas, richer than Diddy, richer than Jay-Z. Drake will be the single richest artist on the planet